All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's the follow-up to the Cleveland Browns game for Week 16. Final score, New York Jets 23, Cleveland Browns 16. That is a two-game winning streak for the former worst team in the NFL. They have now given two of the better teams that they've played against, Cleveland as well as the Los Angeles Rams. They've handed them losses in consecutive weeks. The Jets are playing very inspired football. They look like a team that is not down and out. They're going to do their best to close out the year. So big shout out to them and big props to them. Now, let's talk about the problems associated with the Cleveland Browns. There were a lot of issues in today's game. The reason that the Browns lost were a couple of things that you could say were out of their control, but I actually disagree. A lot of it was in their control. So first of all types of different things were going on wrong. There was a missed PAT from Cody Parkey from the Browns. There was a field goal taken at the end of the first half from the punter, which tells you how much faith they have in the leg of their kicker. So that's kind of concerning. There were some penalties throughout the game that plagued the Browns. There was no commitment to the run game. You have probably the most dynamic duo of running backs on any roster in the league. You know, maybe the Saints, you would say, with Latavius Murray and Alvin Kamara. I can't think of a better two than Hunt and Chubb. No commitment to the run whatsoever. Obviously, with the COVID, policies, you had no wide receivers. Basically, you had to, bring up guys from the practice squad, so you didn't have any starters at that position. Nobody with experience. Who knows the playbook? How you going to plan around that so late in the week? On and on. So there was a huge problem. The secondary played awful. The secondary is not good. Denzel Ward may be a good player, and there may be a couple of guys that can hit on that squad, but they are not very good as a secondary. They are very, very leaky and prone to giving up big plays. Baker obviously did not play very well. I think defensively, the Browns were very inconsistent in trying to get pressure on Sam Darnold. They did a couple of times, and when they did that, they were able to make plays. Whenever they did not get pressure, Darnold made them pay. So I think the run defense was also average. They came through at times. They made enough stops to keep the Browns in it. But there were times where the Jets were effectively running the ball 5, 6, 7, 8 yards at a time. So, I think about this storyline and what it's going to be. Baker didn't have many options, but there was one thing that he did have control of that he didn't do well, and that's ball security. He did not take care of the ball. That is going to continue to be an issue in the future if he doesn't correct it. These guys know. These NFL players watch film. They know that he has ball security problems. They're going to target that every week. That's something he is definitely going to address if he's going to get better. He was inaccurate at times. His footwork was questionable. Poor pocket awareness, with those fumbles. David Njoku, a complete bust. Very unproductive given his targets. I think Hooper also a bust, even though he caught a lot of passes. He offered very little with them, no yards after catch. He was pretty much falling as soon as he caught it. Seems very insecure in his ability to create separation. I also saw him with a couple of drops. He has been a total bust since he got to Cleveland after signing his contract. The first half was basically one of the worst halves of football I've seen from the Browns this year. It was horrible offensively. They did not move the ball at all. Their running game was anemic at best. Half two was a little bit better for the Browns. They did commit to the run. They did make some rushing plays. They got some yards, and they got two TDs out of it. So overall, Nick Chubb rushing was 11 rushes for 28 yards, which is very poor. He did get a TD. He was 5 catches for 38 yards, which is kind of spot on. I expected him to get about that many catches. When he did catch the ball, he did have some wiggle and made some plays, but they just didn't involve them enough. I will also say that Kareem Hunt, 4 rushes for 11 yards. He did get the TD late in the game, and then he was 3 catches for 41. So when he got the ball, he made plays as well. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for passing in the screens to the running backs, wheel routes, different simple routes to get them involved, to get them the ball in space. Didn't really do that consistently from the coaching staff. They didn't call it that way. David Njoku, 4 for 26. Very pedestrian. I think Austin Hooper was 7 for 71. So he had volume, but didn't really do much with it, in my opinion. Baker Mayfield was 28 completions out of 53 attempts for 285 yards with no TDs. Baker was bad. There's no way around it. 3 fumbles, 2 of them were lost, and 1 of them costed them the game, 100%. At least a chance to kind of close it out for a win. In my opinion, if I'm going to summarize this game and just kind of put a bow on it. Number one, there was no commitment to the run game, which led to Baker Mayfield having to do too much. The reason he threw 53 times is because they weren't effectively running the ball. I expected Baker to not throw the ball more than 20 or 25 times. They doubled it because they could not run the ball. So that lack of commitment to the run game affected Baker. Also throw in that the secondary is prone to giving up huge plays. It was terrible. You saw them get behind them on a trick play. You saw them get behind them on another play. The two big plays were because of secondary lapses. They were terrible and awful, and it was really bad. And then third, the inability to make adjustments soon enough in committing to the run game and trying to get the focus off of Baker because he didn't have his options. He didn't have Jarvis. He didn't have Peoples-Jones. He didn't have Rashard Higgins. Honestly, if I had to blame anything and anyone, I'm blaming the COVID. I'm blaming the COVID protocol, and I'm blaming no run game, no commitment to the run, the ineffectiveness of the running game, and then I'm also going to blame Baker for making his mistakes. That's my take. I'd love to hear what you have to say if you're a Browns fan, if you watched it, if that's how you see it. Let me know if that's the case. If you disagree, if you thought it was something else, you can let me know that as well. More NFL coverage, more game coverage coming up. This is Snead Sports, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.